Bingo. We're live. Hey, everyone. This is a special broadcast of Creative on Purpose Live. I'm here with my friend, my coach, my LinkedIn expert friend, Candace Edelin, and we are here to talk about how to leverage LinkedIn to win better clients as a coach and as a freelancer. So just a little bit of context, and I just want to go ahead and give a round of applause and shout out to my friend Candace. I was completely ready to give up entirely on all social media. And I had an instinct, an inkling for a long time that if there was a platform on social media that was going to work for me, it would be LinkedIn, but I just couldn't figure out how to make it work for me. And just by happenstance, about the time I was about to explode my LinkedIn profile, I came across Candace and a program that we are both in called PBK with Tamsin Horton, who you should check out.
Awesome program, yeah.
And she was advertising this leveraging LinkedIn program. I thought, okay, if I'm before I decide to explode my social media profiles, I'll give this a try. I cannot tell you how much success I've had working with Candace. 10 out of the last 12 weeks. We've got a couple weeks left. Completely changed the way I show up on LinkedIn, the way I leverage LinkedIn. I've met dozens of amazing people. I have onboarded 3 very high-paying clients, and it's all been because of the things that we're going to share with you in this little webinar. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Without further ado, Candace, I would love for you to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit more.
Thanks, Scott. I really appreciate that introduction. Thank you so much. And I'm so glad to have you in the accelerator. It's been just an honor to be able to work with this group of 10 people in this accelerator. But so a little background on me. I've been in the tech space and had co-founded a couple of companies back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, and built up kind of a name in the financial services space, especially around electronic trading. And so when I started Propelled Growth in 2007, I didn't really have to do much to generate leads because I had lots of referral traffic, and I was able to publish content on third-party trade publications. And so those 2 things brought in a lot of inbound leads. So I didn't really have to do much. I didn't actually make an outbound sales call for 10 years. And then it stopped because I made the bright idea of changing industries to a place where I didn't have that network. So we had to figure out how to generate leads. And that's kind of when I developed this methodology, looked at some of the folks that were doing the LinkedIn lead generation, outsourced services, read up on their styles, learned their best practices, started implementing, and found out very quickly that those best practices don't actually work very well. So I started developing my own methodology that's super authentic, no bots, no templates, just really authentic outreach. And it was working really well. In 6 months, I generated 125 sales calls just by myself by working my own business. So that's kind of what the genesis of why I started doing this LinkedIn training and how Scott kind of got involved.
Awesome. So in this workshop, what we're going to do is we're going to very quickly go through how to identify your ideal customer and your offering, how to craft an ideal headline, find the right people on LinkedIn, and how to authentically engage with them. And that last piece is the most important. So I know for a fact that you can't swing a stick in LinkedIn without hitting a dozen coaches. And as a coach, I have found it embarrassing to see how often I see coaches reaching out to me in a way that does not feel very authentic, does not feel very human, does not at all land as engaging or even a connection I would want to have. And so what we want to do is dial in the right customer, dial in the offering, and then give you some tools and tips that you can leverage to connect with the right people in a way that is human, that is authentic, that will be engaging, and that will begin a conversation that can lead to winning the right clients on LinkedIn. So let's talk a little bit first, Candace, about identifying your ideal customer.
All right, so let me share my screen. I should have practiced this before.
Oh,
Um,
that's fun. Oh, do you have the ability to share?
I think so. Let's see. Let's share.
While you're
Entire
doing that, I just
screen.
wanted to give a quick shout out to one of the coaches that does it right, my friend Savio Clemente, who is a fantastic coach and really does a great job on social media. And it looks like there we go.
Okay, can you see it in presentation mode?
I sure can.
All right, you're
So,
on, Scott.
yeah, so this is a template that I use in my coaching to help people get the dial in both their offering and their audience, and it's really based on some pretty basic, simple stuff. Let me see if I can't get. Yeah. So what we do is we dial in who you are, what are your core values and guiding principles. What do you do? What are your talents, your innate skills, your hard skills that you learned in school and on the job, your soft skills, the skills that you've been practicing ever since you exited the womb around collaboration, connection, communication, creativity, and so forth. And then find the people who share your values and need your skills and talents to enhance their lives. At the intersection of those three things, who you are, what you're good at, and where you belong, is going to be both the beginnings of what your offering is and a set of ideal customers, people probably that you already have in your sphere of influence, in your circles of connection, that you can begin to dial in and to reach out to start offering your services to be, well, of course, first beginning a conversation, building the interest, creating the generous tension that will help them step into possibility with you and whatever it is that you as a coach or a freelancer have on offer in the way of transformation. And oftentimes what I see being done wrong, especially by coaches on LinkedIn, is they're really rushing to build the prestige or the status to get the sale right away. It's got to be a little bit slower than that. You have to build the relationship, you have to build the connection, and then listen to what the people that you seek to serve need. And if it's a right fit, to then walk them through a process that will get them from where they are to where they want to be by engaging with your offering. Anything to add there, Candace?
I think if you look at that X in the middle, that's your niche. And you don't want to try to serve everybody. Really focus in on a niche that meets this Venn diagram, the center of this, because that's the people that are going to be the most engaged with you, the most excited about what you have to offer, and they're going to get the most value out of it. And so then you'll create fans that will help promote your business, and you'll become like me and not need to do a lot of outbound prospecting because you'll get a lot of inbound referrals. So finding that sweet spot is a super valuable thing to work on.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about crafting that ideal. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the value proposition template. There's actually a slide that should be up before that with the. Oh, I'm sorry. You had it right, Candace. Go ahead and go back.
That one? Okay.
Yeah. So this is a value proposition. So when you're explaining what your offer is, when you're sharing your offering, my friend Lisa Lambert from Spotlight Trust shared this template with me, which I have used to do everything from craft a blog post to craft a coaching offering or a group coaching plan. And it's really based on just, figuring out who your ideal customer is, the change that you seek to make with and for that person, what your offering is, what it does, what it looks like, and then what's the transformation on offer? What's the return on investment for your ideal client? So the template is very, very straightforward. For X who want Y, our offering is Z that provides Q. And so a quick example of what this might look like in practice is the next slide, which is This is Difference Maker Coaching, one of the offerings at Creative on Purpose. So we have 4 committed social impact professionals who want to experience greater fulfillment and equanimity. Difference Maker Coaching helps you cultivate the routines and relationships that enable you to navigate uncertainty and adversity and endeavors that matter. So really clear articulation of who it's for, what it does, and what the person that purchases can expect as by way of transformation. What's the return on that investment?
Yeah, I like to think of it as outcomes. What kind of outcome can people expect from you? And I love the fact that this is so tightly oriented toward a niche, because that helps people know, is this for me?
Yeah, and I can't highlight that enough. And Candace has been really instrumental in helping me understand this and build it into my own headline. You have to be super clear and as niched as you can possibly be. So I often have clients ask me, well, is it possible to become too niched? And my answer is I've never had that experience. I've never had somebody get so niched that they niched themselves out of a market. If that's possible, maybe it is. You can always zoom back out, but the more niched you are, the more on the hook you're putting yourself and the ideal client, and you will clearly be positioned as the one and only solution to whatever pain point, problem, or transformation that you're offering your ideal clients. 2 other ways of looking at this. One is the old Simon Sinek kind of why statement. 2, whatever your contribution is, so I'm sorry. Yeah. So I don't really have great examples for this, but the second one is for those who believe X. Oh, I'm sorry. That was.
Oh, whoops. Go ahead. Sorry. Sorry about
Those
that.
who believe, seek, or want ideal clients, we give you a way to get there, and you describe the way that you get there. So that would be the Simon Sinek template. And then the next one is my friend Clay Ebert. Clay is a Alta MBA alum, and this template is actually part of one of the lessons. And he has a great video that I'll share a link to where he really unpacks this. But whatever it is, help, for instance, social impact professionals achieve greater equanimity and fulfillment and the difference that they make. That would be an example of unpacking that first template. And a simpler one is I'm an X for Y. I'm a compass for social impact professionals. And then you could follow that up with a story.
These types of things actually really help to figure out what your positioning is and your value proposition, but also what you should be saying on your LinkedIn profile.
Yes, exactly. So Candace, I think that's my piece. Why don't we go ahead and start moving into yours?
Okay, so that carries over really well in how to position and your headline. I use an example of I help X do or accomplish Y through Z, where it's very similar to the last example that Scott just used. And here's an example for somebody that might be a financial advisor and how they might be using it. So X is the business owner, small business owners. The Y is what they're trying to accomplish, build, protect, and transfer wealth. And Z is the how, by creating structured investments and establishing trust. So it's really focused on what they're trying to accomplish. And then here's some examples. Here's Scott. So he's helping cultivate fulfillment and equanimity as a social impact professional. So the social impact professional is the who, the cultivate fulfillment and equanimity is the what. And the how, he's talking about let's work together. So here's mine. I teach sellers of complex offerings to use LinkedIn to connect, engage, and get to your ideal prospects. Then you guys probably are familiar with Dan Sanchez. He did give me permission to share this. We produce B2B podcasts that drive revenue, very clear value proposition. This is another friend of mine who has given me permission, and I just like the humor that he has put into this. And he's changed it recently to this. Before it was something about being a grass-fed accountant, and he keeps the LinkedIn's cutest accountant, which cracks me up. So sometimes you want to inject a little bit of humor and your own personality into it. Here's some more examples. I am not going to go through all of these, so go ahead and take a screenshot of those. One of them that I'm going to draw attention to is this one. This is a an accountant who works with geeks and financial planning and accounting. So are you a geek too? I'm a geek who helps other geeks get geeky with their finances. I just love the personality that's pulled into that. So then you've got to look at your profile summary. And a critical thing here is that unless you're job hunting, your profile is not your resume. So please change it up and really use your profile as a sales tool, as a marketing and branding tool. This is one possible outline for a profile summary. Using what Scott was talking about before in really articulating that value proposition, that's what should go at the top of your about section. I like to suggest that you use this outline of what I do and who I do it for, how it helps, outcomes they can expect, and how to contact me. It's pretty simple and straightforward. It could be long. Mine's pretty long. Other people can keep it nice and short, which is probably preferable to how long mine is. Here's an example of a person that works with financial professionals to help them with their branding and build out their business. So he's got this focus on what I do, why it matters, how it works or why it works, and what other people are saying about it. So just another way to orient your profile. And I recommend trying to tell stories, why it matters. I love this, your key skill lies in understanding the numbers for your clients. But you also have to build relationships, find new clients, and lead teams. And financial professionals are struggling to do this. So it's just a way to really create an authentic engagement with the prospect as they read that about summary. Be careful about things that don't inspire trust. So this is actually not the same profile, but there was a profile that I came across that says, tenaciously hounding prospects till I never lose it, until ensuring never loses a deal. That is a way to lose a deal, honestly. So don't use language like that if you want to inspire trust. Now, if he's job hunting, maybe, but not once he's got the job and is selling. In a different profile, this person was talking about how amazing they are at getting appointments. So this is a person that sells business insurance, and he's focused on his accomplishments. If he reached out to me, I would immediately feel like I'm just a number to him and that he doesn't care about the outcomes for me. He only cares about adding another notch on his belt, and I am not interested in that. So when you're using LinkedIn to get out there and connect with people, there's kind of 4 steps. So going back to what Scott was saying in terms of figuring out that niche, I don't recommend that you try to target a lot of people. If you're working with companies, then you want to identify just a small sector of them. If you're working with individuals, you might grow that a little bit bigger. It depends on how many deals you need to win in a year, but I don't recommend expanding your target too wide, because the second step is to go research these people and these companies to figure out business trends that are likely to be affecting those firms. And if you narrow your niche, it really simplifies your research so that you can be super relevant to that niche. The next phase is to identify the members of the buying committee. So if you're a consultant and selling to companies, you may have 2, 3, 4 people on the buying committee. If you're selling to individuals, you may have a husband and wife on the buying committee. But the point is to really understand what their needs are and then send them very personalized connection requests that speak specifically to them. Once you've got them connected, the goal should be to engage with them and start conversations, to book appointments and get acquainted with them. Don't try to pitch. Don't try to get a meeting by talking about some product or service that you're offering. Try to get a meeting to get acquainted with them and talk trends. Personally, I've had great success in saying, hey, Scott, I'd love to get acquainted with you because I've been talking to a lot of other coaches and have learned some of the key issues that they're running into around business development. Would you be interested in hearing about the last 5 coaches I've talked to and what they're doing to overcome it? And then I'd like to get your perspective too. That becomes a much easier way to have a conversation with them. Now, We've gone through this with an accelerator group that Scott is part of. There's 10 people in that group right now. And using this type of methodology for connecting, we're finding that they're getting much better at connection ratios. So we're week 10 of the accelerator right now, and they're getting above 80% connection acceptance rates right now. It really jumped after we started digging into the messages and exploring what we could tweak. So their meeting acceptance has been awesome too. So what's happening here is they're reaching out to people and looking for a valid reason to provide value in that conversation and book meetings with initial leads. So we've been consistently staying above 50% for the last 4 weeks. And in terms of the total meetings booked, the accelerator cohort has booked 151 meetings in the past 10 weeks. That's 8 people. Basically, there's 10 people in the cohort, but 2 of them are business owners that have teamed up with their a key seller in their organization. And so the sellers are the ones that are actually booking the meetings. So divide that by 8 and you get a sense of how many meetings are getting booked over the last 10 weeks. So I provide a class on this. You can take a master class that's all on demand, or you can learn more about the prospecting accelerator that we're doing. We're going to launch our next accelerator on the 28th. So if you're interested in this, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to share more about this. And I'm going to stop sharing now, Scott, because it sounds like we've got a lot of conversation going on. So if anybody wants to ask some questions.
Awesome. There we go. Just a couple quick notes on some of the headlines that Candace shared. I shared earlier that there's a lot of coaches competing for eyeballs, for attention, and for leads on LinkedIn right now. And what I noticed is that a lot of the most effective coaches and the ones that I am actually interested in engaging in don't have a lot of coachy information in their headlines. They talk a lot about the ideal customer, their pain points, their problems, the thing that they help them solve. So just something worth playing with in your headline is, instead of advertising, the kind of coach you are, maybe I focus more on your prospect, the problems that they might be having, and then the coaching will become the vehicle for the solution, as opposed to the thing that you're pitching right away on your headline.
Yeah, it's really important to think about this from the customer's perspective, or the client's perspective, and be super focused on what they need to see.
The other thing that I heard you saying, Candace, is the importance of the way that you are beginning the conversation, that it's authentically connecting and not just in your headline, but in your initial communications, your outreach. I don't see any questions, at least here on StreamYard. I'm going to LinkedIn just to see if there's anything there, but wondering if you would be willing to just share some of the things that you shared with us in the accelerator about how to do the initial reach out. And one of the things that I remember is, don't send your Calendly link in your initial communication.
Yeah, there's a few tricks that are sometimes counterintuitive. We talk about how in sales, everybody's like trying to go for the meeting with that first communication. And yeah, ultimately, I want to get a meeting with you, but the way I'm going to do it is a little different. So, for example, if I'm going to send Scott a connection request, I'm going to look at his profile. And the first thing I'm going to see is that he's working with social impact entrepreneurs and trying to help them create equanimity and deal with the stress that is very common among people that are trying to create social impact. So my connection request to him would connect based on that. It's like, I really love the fact that you are working with social impact professionals, and wow, equanimity is such an important aspect of how they keep going in the face of challenges. So I might say something like that and say, love what you're doing. I would be very interested in getting acquainted with you. So I am setting that expectation at the very first communication, that I don't want to just add you to a pile of connections. I'm not looking for a stack of business cards that I'm going to collect at a networking event. I'm looking for a genuine connection, and I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. So then you accept that connection request, and between 60 and 80% is what you should be expecting for a connection acceptance ratio. If it's lower than that, you need to change your model because it's not working. Then once Scott accepts, what I find is the sooner I respond to him, the better, although not at bot speed. You want to try to distinguish yourself from a bot, because there are so many people using bots on LinkedIn right now. The more specific you can get with that initial connection request and with the follow-up meeting, the more effective you're going to be at getting their attention and getting them to want to meet with you. So then once Scott accepts my meeting request, then I'm going to say, hey, Scott, thanks for connecting. Like I mentioned, I love how you're working with social impact professionals, and this idea of creating an equanimity really resonates with me. I would love to get acquainted with you and hear more about that. But also, I've been working with a lot of other coaches recently and have been kind of chatting about what's going on around, attracting clients. And I know that can be a challenging thing for a coach. So if you'd be interested, I'm happy to share with you what I'm hearing from some of them about how they're overcoming that issue.
Yeah.
Do you want to get acquainted? I don't send you the Calendly link. I don't tell you what my times are that I'm available. I ask you again, would you like to get acquainted? Then I wait for that person to say yes. If they say yes, then I say, okay, here's my link to my calendar. Would you like to pick a time that's convenient for you? And then they book a meeting. It's really that simple. I mean, and literally, I'm getting like a 50 to 60% connection acceptance rate. One of the people in the accelerator has been doing this, and she's targeting engineers and architects, and she's getting an 89% booked meeting ratio when she reaches out like that. This works, and it's so effective that you don't have to do a lot of volume to get the meetings. And then if you're pretty good at converting those meetings into prospects, prospecting becomes really easy, and it's not such a time sink anymore.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of the things that we talk a lot about at Creative on Purpose when we are helping people dial in their offering and their audience and starting this process of building connection and engagement, is reminding them that needy is creepy. And if you're leading too often with your pitch, with your link to book a call, it just comes across as desperate, too urgent, too, all the false scarcity and all the things that we're tired of. So what I love about the approach that Candace is advocating is that it's just plain human to human. It's not business to business or business to customer. It's human being to human being discussing shared interests, common problems. And if you are engaged in a way that is not needy and reveals that you have a offering or solutions to their problem, they will eventually reach out to you. Or when the time is right, you can ask them, would you like help with that? And I'm having a huge amount of success with this very soft touch approach. And really, after just a few calls, able to get people into a pipeline where I'm actually booking a curiosity call followed by a trial coaching call, and then enrolling them into programs like my one-on-one coaching or my intensive program. Before we sign off, I wanted to just bring up my friend Lillian. Lillian is a coach at Akimbo Workshops and also out in the world. He's doing some great work. He had a question that I think would be great for you to respond to, Candace, around great content not rising, perhaps due to the LinkedIn algorithm.
Oh yeah, the algorithm is its own beast and challenging. One of the ways to get content in front of the people that you want is by engaging with them on the DMs, because LinkedIn is paying attention. The algorithm is evaluating, if this person engages back with you and responds, then the algorithm assumes that they're probably going to be interested in your content. So it's more likely that your content will show up in front of them. But one of the key things that I'm always thinking about in terms of content engagement is, one, I'm trying to create engagement, not just share knowledge. So I try to get comments, because the algorithm, in addition to deciding who to put it in front of based on who you're engaging with, is also looking at 3 critical criteria for whether or not it's going to push it further in the feed. First is dwell time. So if your content has a see more and people click it, the click and how long they sit on your content are clear indicators of interest. Then the next thing is comments. If people are engaging, the algorithm is looking at first level comments, not necessarily conversations that are going on in a thread. So it's important for you to get a volume of people commenting, not just one conversation in a long thread. Then the third thing is the reactions, the likes. What I am finding is clicking the share button sucks anymore. It used to work, but now, like, I'll share content and I'll get like 4 views on something, where if I created original content, even like mentioning that person and the content in my link, or not in a link, I'm sorry, in my post, I'll get way more views versus if I click the share button. So ignore the share button. It's just not working anymore. It's not worth your time. Even Scott, I don't know if you were aware of this, but I shared the link to this event yesterday, and I think I only got 22 views, where normally I'll get 2, 3, 400, 500, 600 views on a post. It was like 22 or something like that. And I think it's because I included the link to the event. And so LinkedIn viewed that as a share as opposed to original content. So don't know why the algorithm's focusing on that right now, but polls and carousels are doing quite well. So a carousel is when you upload a document. Like if you've got slides, you can actually just upload your PowerPoint deck. And because people have to flip through the slides, that can actually really create more engagement, and it signals to LinkedIn that this information is interesting, and then it's going to push it into more people's feeds as a consequence. So I hope that kind of helped, Lillian, but really try to create conversations. Occasionally you might tag somebody in it. Don't tag a bunch of people, tag one person and ask them a specific question in your post. Be judicious about that. Don't annoy people, but it can really help if it's really authentic.
And just one observation of mine to add, what I've noticed is that my text only based posts are really outperforming everything else. So even the same text based post with an image will perform far less well than a simple text based post that has, again, using Candace's suggestions for how many lines are visible when you post. If you can build the tension, build the interest in those first couple of lines to help that will get them to click read more, those posts do very, very well in comparison to everything else that I've been using. And that includes carousels, but I have not yet used polls. I'm getting ready to try polls out soon.
I'll be
So
interested to see that, because polls are doing well. It's why people are so annoyed with polls, because the algorithm is favoring them. And so more people are using them, and then people complain about them. And so then I see polls on, do you like polls?
and I love what you added, Candace, about like, be clear, focused, disciplined, and specific about who your audience is and the problem that they have, and make your content wrap around how how they can get some value just from the things that you're posting natively on LinkedIn. So right now I'm doing a lot of posting around burnout and overwhelm because that's a problem that a lot of social impact professionals, freelancers, and coaches have. And I'm getting a great engagement on those posts, and I'm attracting the right people that are likely to want to eventually connect off LinkedIn in a phone conversation or in an email exchange. So, Candace, we've covered a ton of ground in a very short period of time. So the replay will be obviously available. I'll share links to connect with Lisa Lambert and Rick Kitagawa, whose template I shared earlier, along with Clay Ebert, a link to Clay Ebert's video about powerful introductions. And Candace, of course, will share something for her accelerator. And I just want to one more time promote Candace's accelerator. It has been one of the most profound experiences in terms of impact on my bottom line, impact on the number of people that I've been able to book as clients through difference maker coaching that I've ever experienced. I highly recommend her program. If you start to look, you'll see that I've shared some testimonials on her website. And then we also have at Creative on Purpose. If you're interested in dialing in or developing and delivering the difference only you can make, if you're trying to figure out what your offering is, who it's for, and what the transformation is on offer, or if you're trying to level up in that enterprise, we have the Do the Work Intensive enrolling now. There's only a few spots left. That begins in October. It compounds 4 one-on-one coaching sessions with 4 group sessions over a 4-week period. If you've got a stretch goal or a clear project that will help you get traction and build momentum to finish out the year strong, would love to see you there. Candace will share links to the accelerator. I'll share links to the intensive in the comments as well.
Yeah, I really would encourage you to seriously consider that intensive that Scott's doing, because it really can help you dial in what your business is. And that outcome can be profound and very, very long-term for you. So, if you believe in your business, you believe in your customers and the difference that you can make for them, then invest in building your business and building your professional approach with people. It makes a huge difference.
And if you've got your thing already dialed in and you're just trying to level up and get more of the right people into whatever offering it is that you have, I think that the program, the accelerator that Candace has certainly been profound for me, and the other folks that are in the current session would definitely encourage you to go to learning.propelgrowth.com, have a conversation with Candace. Even if you just do her free 90-day planner.
Yeah, you can get a 90-day action plan.
Mm-hmm. Just that's what sold me on the program, because that delivered. I had a clear plan just from that half-hour conversation that I had with Candace about the 90-day plan. I immediately was ready to jump on board. So if nothing else, go ahead and take advantage of the free call with Candace. And of course, you can always reach out to me about the intensive. I'm happy to jump on a 15-minute curiosity call about any of the programs at Creative on Purpose.
And I'm happy to jump on a call with you too. So send me a connection request. Let's talk.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, let's connect. All right, Candace, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for your time and all the insight and inspiration you shared today. But thanks for the difference that you're making out in the world. It matters. It's making a difference, and we appreciate it. Everyone else, we'll see you where we see you out there on the interwebs, and keep flying higher.
Thank you so much, Scott. This has been a delight. I really appreciate it.
Likewise.